Hello, and welcome to episode 69 of Coming Out Swinging. I am your host, Lynette McDonald, and I believe when we speak, the power of our words create our blueprints, construct our environment, and can change the trajectory of our lives. Our foundation scriptures are found in Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat its fruit. And Revelation 12:11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. This final episode of 2025 will be a tribute to my sister, Crystal Shell, who passed away in July of this year. Join me in the ring. I've been knocked down more times than I can count. The cool thing is that I got back up each time. Some moments took longer than others, and some were at the 10 counts of 10 seconds, 10 minutes, while others were like 10 years or more. But I always got back up. Getting the news that I should make my way to Florida to see Crystal one last time felt like a jab in the gut and an uppercut to my heart. Crystal was a beautiful, vibrant, compassionate, and giving soul. And God blessed her hands to be able to prepare some of the most delicious meals that I have ever eaten. Like our mother, she was very creative in the kitchen. Crystal loved to cook, especially for the holidays. She had a big heart, and I dedicate this episode to her because during her lifetime, and even in the end, her actions were the epitome of the reason why I started this podcast. My baby sister had a major heart surgery on a Sunday morning, and when she woke up from her anesthesia on Monday morning, I was standing there in the room, and she immediately began trying to get up out of bed. By Tuesday, she was sitting up and making demands, sipping on ice chips and crunching on, sipping on red Kool-Aid, and she was crunching on ice chips. By Wednesday, Crystal was getting out of bed with the assistance of a walker and the nurses, and she was walking out of her room. She got up from her mat of affliction. She came out swinging. At first, she couldn't talk, but when she could, when they removed the tube from her throat, all she wanted to know was, where am I? How did I get here? And when do I go home? By Thursday afternoon, there was a calm that had come over her that I didn't think was her way of telling me that that would probably be the last time I saw her. Hindsight, it was. She had been fussy and couldn't sleep and irritable for those 3 days. She barely slept. And that degree of calm that was on her, to me, I thought, phew, finally, she's going to sleep good tonight. And that was the night that I was flying back home to Dallas. She would go to sleep that night, but she would not open her eyes again. She coded several times and they brought her back, but she never opened her eyes. She coded again on Saturday. They brought her back, but she never opened her eyes. I got a call late that Saturday night that said, if you want to see your sister one last time, if you're able, you'd want to get here right away. I flew out that very next morning, and I missed her by 4 minutes. She took her last breath. She was standing in the center of her ring of life, and she extended her arm to me that night before I left. She had told me earlier that in the year, I just want to see you. I want us to get together. I just want to put my arm around your neck one more time. And I was so grateful that God kept her those days that allowed us to have that moment together when we got to wrap our arms around each other's necks. At the tender age of 50, she was gone. And I was left with the opportunity to practice what I preach week in and week out in front of these lights and in front of this mic. Was I going to speak death or life? Was I going to come out swinging or lay down on the mat and curl up in a fetal position? What was I going to do? Not taking away anything from anyone's grief process. We all do grieve differently. But until this time that I had to experience grief, that statement didn't really carry a lot of weight in the sense that I had a definition for what mine was going to look like. Everybody does grieve differently, so how was I going to grieve? I didn't do a really good job at first. Long before episode 1 of Coming Out Swinging, I had a reputation for being able to see the glass half full, always positive, always have something good to say. It could be a storm outside and I'll find a flower in the midst of it all. But even I had to practice what I preach, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians 9:27. The King James Version says that I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a captive. I had to think about what I would say to someone else. How would I try to encourage someone else? What would I preach if I had to preach at her funeral or other funerals that I've done? It was now me standing in the need of prayer. It was now me needing a word of encouragement. But it wasn't long before I got off the ropes and gained my footing and refocused on what mattered, and that was honoring my sister. God granted me grace and strength to get through traveling between Texas and Florida to be by her side and then preparing her memorial in Chicago and then getting back to Texas. And when it was all settled and done, I became depressed and struggled to get back to work and resume my regular activities. It didn't get to the point that I needed medication, but I certainly needed therapy. And I did. I found a grief counselor who has been amazing. And she introduced me to a group counseling, a grief group counseling. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Even now, I was sharing with my producer, I struggle with not having it all together. I struggle with not necessarily trying to be perfect, but just trying to be good. Trying to not let something that I do or don't do be a stumbling block for somebody else. But life doesn't come wrapped up like that. Every now and again, it's okay to break down, cry, misstep, choke up like I'm doing right now. It's okay. I'm in a safe space. I sought help and joined that group. And with the support of my church leadership, my friends and my family, and my fiance, who has been a rock like I didn't know I needed, I slowly got back to some semblance of normalcy, only without Crystal. It has become a new norm because I won't forget her. And I wanted to find ways to continue to honor her. Yeah, as sisterhood go, yes, we had our days. I remember one time she cussed me out so bad. I was like, girl, did you just make those words up? And there were times that, yes, me, the preacher girl, said some things. I used to have this phrase that I keep a cuss in my back pocket, and my bishop got on me about that. because he said one day that back pocket gonna open up and it's not gonna be a good time for that back pocket to open up. And so I had to stop saying that. The power of our words. So we've had our exchanges, but one thing remained true. She knew I loved her and I knew she loved me, and we had each other's back. And my sister, as small as she was ready to throw hands. She was ready to come out swinging for her big sister, and she would fight a man. Crystal had that kind of boldness, and she was funny, and she just loved giving. She would want to give her, she would go cook her last meal and give it away. The year is ending. I prepared notes for this episode, and I was all ready to just come sit cute in front of this camera and just tell y'all from my notes what God has said. But this morning, minding my own business, I run across this LinkedIn ad, and it's a throwback video of a young lady who was born with full-blown AIDS. Her mom had been a drug addict all her life, or while she was pregnant with her. And when she came out, she had AIDS. She was born in 1989, and she was 39 when she died, but was told she'd only live 5 years at max. But God had other plans. Why am I sharing that? And what does that have to do with my sister? My mom had HIV when she died and was on drugs when she was pregnant with Crystal. Crystal was born fighting for her life. And now I understood why she had such a fight to her personality. She entered this life coming out swinging. She fought to be here. I was reminded in that moment why I do what I do, why I do coming out swinging, and that even what I called this podcast wasn't by accident. I have been fighting all my life. I've been fighting a good fight of faith. When I look over my life at the things that God has saved me from, delivered me from, even the things I did to myself, not just the things that happened to me, I didn't even realize it then that that's what I was doing. I used to think, what qualifies you to get behind this mic, to get in front of people and tell them to come out swinging, to tell them when they get into their ring of life, when you get up against the ropes. He reminded me this morning as I was preparing to honor my sister that I've been in this ring a whole lot longer than I remember. Life comes at us. We don't get to pick the experiences we have. We don't get to say, God, today is December 6th. I don't get to tell him, okay, tomorrow for December 7th, I don't want no issues. I don't want no problems. I want the day to go like this, and this. We don't get to do that. He sees our end from our beginning. What my confession will be, God, is whatever you know about tomorrow, prepare me for it today. Whatever wisdom I need for tomorrow, download it into my heart today. Whatever compassion I need to extend tomorrow, allow me to put myself down, decrease, so that I can represent you tomorrow. It's about acknowledging that God is sovereign, and that I stopped asking why me. My mantra became, why not me? And that it's not about me. God allowed me to be there, to have those last moments with my sister. I had just bought her a plane ticket to come visit me here in Dallas. And she didn't get to use that ticket. But we got the time anyway. I want to admonish everyone under the sound of my voice that as you look back over your 2025, 24, 20, however many years you have to go back. Invest the rest of this year spending quality time with your loved ones, apologizing, ask for forgiveness, forgive, take the trip, make the call, go over to that friend's house and visit. Don't send them a text. You're right down the street. And in Texas, down the street is like 30 miles. Say, I love you. Say it. Don't text it. Let the breath come out of your lungs. Let them hear the sound of your voice. Because in the ring of life, we never know when it's our last round. Thank you for joining me this morning, or whatever time it is that you catch this broadcast. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I don't even feel like doing my regular ending. I just hope that something was said to motivate you to come out swinging. God bless.